Hey everyone, welcome back to Old Charles. In today's video, we're diving deep into the history and value of the 1972 Australia 10-cent coin. Whether you're a numismatist, a collector, or just curious about old coins you might have lying around, this video is for you. So, let's get started. Today, we're focusing on a coin that many collectors treasure, the 1972 Australia 10-cent piece. Introduced as part of Australia's decimal currency system in 1966, the 10-cent coin became a staple in everyday transactions, and even in 2025, it still plays a part in the Australian economy. But how much is this 1972 coin worth today? Let's break it down. Before the 10-cent coin was introduced, Australia had a completely different system of currency, known as the imperial system. This changed with the introduction of decimal currency on February 14, 1966. The move to decimal currency meant that the Australian dollar was divided into 100 cents, and coins such as the 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent, and 50-cent pieces were introduced. The 10-cent coin that we're looking at today first made its appearance as part of this new currency system in 1966. But the 1972 version? It's a key piece in Australian coinage, mainly because it was produced during a significant time in the nation's economic history. So, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1972 10-cent coin. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which is a familiar feature on Australian coins from 1953 to 1984. This portrait was designed by sculptor Mary Gillick and has been seen on many coins from the time. On the reverse, we see a design of a pair of swans, which is symbolic of Australia's wildlife, created by the renowned Australian artist Stuart Devlin. In 1972, the mintage of the 10-cent coin was relatively high, meaning that many were produced and circulated widely. As you can see from this graph, around 116 million 10-cent coins were minted that year. When there's a large quantity of coins in circulation, it tends to affect the overall value of the coin. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1972 Australia 10-cent coin. For the average coin collector, the value of a 1972 10-cent piece in typical circulated condition will likely be around 10 to 15 cents, which is its face value. However, if the coin is in uncirculated or mint condition, its value could rise slightly, often reaching around $1 to $3 Australian dollars, depending on its quality. But here's the catch. Certain varieties of this coin can be worth much more. Some collectors look for specific minting errors, such as double strikes or unusual die breaks, which can significantly increase the coin's value. For example, a 1972 10-cent coin with a unique die error might fetch as much as $10 to $20 Australian dollars at auction. Speaking of rare varieties, this is a good reminder that coin values are not set in stone. What's worth a few dollars today may be worth much more in the future, especially if you find an error coin or a particularly well-preserved example. For this reason, it's always a good idea to inspect any 10-cent coins you find in your collection or pocket change closely. Who knows? You might be sitting on a rare treasure without even realizing it. If you're a coin collector or just curious about coins, the 1972 Australia 10-cent coin offers a fascinating glimpse into Australia's coinage history. With its iconic swan design and long history of circulation, it's a must-have for collectors of Australian currency. The change to decimal currency began on February 14, 1966, when the Australian government introduced a new currency system, replacing pounds, shillings, and pence with the dollar and cents. This transition was smooth, though there were some initial challenges in the adjustment to the new system. The 10-cent coin was part of the new decimal system and was minted alongside other coins such as the 1, 2, 5, 20, and 50-cent coins. The design of the 10-cent coin featured a pair of swans, symbolizing Australia's unique wildlife. This design was created by artist Stuart Devlin, who was a prominent designer of Australian coins during this era. The reverse of the coin features the swans, while the obverse shows the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was used on Australian coins from 1953 until 1984. This particular portrait was designed by Mary Gillick. The size of the coin was set to be practical for daily use, with a diameter of 23.6 mm and a weight of 5.65 grams. It was made of copper nickel, a durable and cost-effective material for mass circulation coins. In 1972, around 116 million 10-cent coins were minted, which was a relatively high number. This large mintage ensured that the coin was widely circulated and readily available for everyday transactions in Australia. The 10-cent coin became one of the most commonly used denominations in the country, used for various purchases like bus fares, small goods, and services. The early 1970s in Australia were marked by economic challenges, including inflation and economic instability. However, the adoption of the decimal currency system helped simplify financial transactions for Australians, as it aligned with global trends in currency systems. In this period, there was also a shift towards plastic money, credit cards, and a cashless economy, but coins like the 10-cent piece remained in circulation for a long time. The 1972 10-cent coin is still in circulation today, although it has been gradually phased out for higher denominations in terms of its purchasing power. The coin is part of the Australian cultural heritage, especially for those interested in numismatics, the study or collection of currency. While the coin's value today is close to its face value, 10 cents, collectors still appreciate the 1972 coin for its historical significance and design. In fact, certain well-preserved or error coins from this year can be quite valuable to collectors, especially if they feature unique characteristics like double strikes or other minting flaws. Over time, Australia has undergone further changes in its coinage system. The 10-cent coin was part of the original decimal set of coins and has evolved in terms of design and materials. However, despite the growth of electronic payment systems, coins like the 10-cent piece continue to hold symbolic and practical value in Australian culture. The 1972 10-cent coin thus represents not only a significant moment in Australian financial history, but also a lasting connection to the country's wildlife and economic transitions. Whether in terms of design, mintage, or cultural impact, this small coin tells a much bigger story of change, adaptation, and identity. Here's a breakdown of the different coin grades and what they mean for the 1972 Australia 10-cent coin. Coins in mint state are as close to the condition they were in when they were first minted. These coins show no signs of wear or damage and may have only very light imperfections from the minting process, such as small scratches or discoloration. Mint state coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are essentially new and represent the coin in its original state. This is the highest grade a coin can achieve. An MS-70 coin is considered perfect, with no visible imperfections under magnification. For the 1972 Australia 10-cent coin, a coin in mint state would be extremely rare and valuable. However, most of the 1972 10-cent coins would likely fall into lower grades due to their age and circulation. 1972 10-cent coin in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition can be worth slightly more than its face value, typically $1 to $3 AUD, depending on its exact condition. Coins in the very fine or fine range show more noticeable signs of wear. In these grades, the coin will still have most of its major features visible, but the finer details might be worn down. There will be noticeable smoothing on areas like the swans on the reverse or the Queen's portrait on the obverse. 1972 10-cent coin in these grades may fetch only its face value or slightly more, perhaps 20-50 cents AUD, depending on how well it has been preserved. Coins in good or very good condition are heavily worn, with significant loss of detail. These coins may still have their basic shape and features, but much of the finer design will be worn down, making it harder to distinguish certain elements of the coin, such as the swans or the Queen's portrait. A good or very good 1972 10-cent coin would have a very low value, typically close to its face value or possibly slightly more. Especially if it is a well-known or sought-after coin among collectors and poor condition, the coin is heavily worn, and only a few details might be recognizable. These coins often suffer from scratches, bends, or other types of damage. They are generally not collectible unless they have historical significance or some rare minting errors. Coins with minting defects, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks, can be much more valuable, even in lower grades. These errors are relatively rare, so collectors will often pay a premium for them. If a particular variety or a minting year, like the 1972 10-cent coin, becomes rare due to a lower mintage or certain unique features, its value may increase over time. The general interest in coins and collections can fluctuate. Sometimes, coins that are considered low value today may become more valuable in the future as interest in numismatics grows.